From each coach, starting with Coach Holgersen.
Welcome everybody. Glad to be down in Orlando once again. It's an awesome opportunity to be able to play our last game here of 2018. It's very fitting to be able to play Syracuse and Coach Babers. Me and him go way back, and these two programs go way back as well. So we're excited to be here. We've had a great time. The Florida Citrus Sports does such an outstanding job and it's an awesome bowl destination. So guys have had a good time, and now it's the time to relax and rest up for about 48 hours and get ready to play.
Once again, piggybacking with Dana, Camping World Bowl's done a fantastic job here. Couldn't be more happier than what's been going on in this bowl. It's been first class all the way. Our players are extremely excited to be here. I think they've been having a good time based off of the way they looked at breakfast at the beginning of the week. And last night, I had a bunch of the captains call me and asked to make the basketball game optional. They were so tired, they just wanted to stay at home and stay at the hotel and rest, which is always good to hear 48 hours before the game. So we're excited to be here, and they're going to get some rest, and hopefully it'll be a really fun contest.
All right, we're going to open it up to questions. We have two microphones, one in the back on the camera platform, one up here. If you could introduce yourself and name of your outlet before your question for the sake of the transcript, we would appreciate it. Just raise your hands if you have a question, and we'll get a mic to you.
So, a question for both coaches. We'll start with you, Coach Holgersen. When you put in the tape for Syracuse or in general any ACC team, what is it that you think jumps off the screen as you observe it?
Well, I can't speak for all ACC teams. I've only been watching one. They got my respect and my attention real quick with how they play. I mean, we all. Dino is such a great offensive innovator, and they do a great job offensively. We're pretty familiar with what they do offensively based on where he's been and what they've done. But the thing that stood out probably a little bit more than just what they do offensively is how they play on the other two sides as well. Defensively, they're aggressive. They get after it. They play with a ton of effort. And then special teams, they do the same thing. So got my attention real quick. We expected a lot of up-tempo, fast-paced offensive stuff, but then you look at them on defense and special teams, and they get your attention real quick on those sides of the ball as well. So really a tough opponent and a great football team.
Coach Babers, same to you. When you check out the West Virginia team or even the Big 12 in general, what is it that jumps off the screen to you, sir?
Same answer. We've been watching West Virginia. We got our hands handled with that. But obviously, you talk about the Big 12, you see the explosiveness that they have, and West Virginia is one of the most explosive teams over there. Dana does a fantastic job of breaking people down and putting those guys in key matchups to score points. And you can see it throughout the season. From a special team standpoint, they're solid. Their defense is extremely unique. The 3-3 stack is really, really unique. There's a lot of people that don't really know what they're going to do with it. Sometimes you think you have an answer, and then it turns into something else, and it's an Okie. It's a 4 down. It's a defense that has a lot of flexibility, and it gets a lot of athletes on the field. So they can bring their blitzes from all over the place. The quarterback has to keep his heads on a swivel. Last time I checked, they're not an iguana. They can't see out the side of their heads. So those guys are coming from everywhere, and we need to be really on top of what we're doing, crossing our T's and dotting our I's. We're going to have an opportunity to have some success against it.
A few rows back.
Question for both coaches. Mark Larson from Spectrum News in Syracuse. Obviously, West Virginia and Syracuse have been playing for a long time, and for a long time for the Schwartzwalder Trophy. Can you both speak to the significance of the Camping World Bowl trophy that's sitting in front of you?
Was that a question?
Can you speak about the significance of the Camping World Bowl trophy in relation to the Schwartzwalder Trophy?
We're going to try to win. You line up and you try to win. I mean, this whole blitzing thing, I thought we agreed not to blitz. Syracuse blitzes like 80% of the time, and they're probably going to blitz every play. I thought we made a deal last night.
Was that the deal?
We're obviously going to try to win. I mean, I was a part of this this game for like 2 years. Okay, so my first year in when I was the head coach at West Virginia, this, you know, I think you were at Baylor at the time,
was at Baylor.
you know, we lost in the Dome. It was a, you know, a tough matchup. Coach Marone who obviously did a great job at Syracuse. And then the next year, our first year in the Big 12, we played Syracuse in New York up in the Pinstripe Bowl. So I've been part of it for my first 2 years at West Virginia. It's a heated rivalry. Fan bases both enjoy it. You know, our guys understand that, and we're going to try to win the game. I mean, that trophy right here is there for a reason. So our guys are well aware of that. We're going to try to do our best to be able to win.
Obviously, I understand the history. It's an old rivalry. A lot of the alumni have called and talked about the pleasure of playing West Virginia. I have not had the pleasure of playing it as the head coach of Syracuse or being a member of Syracuse, but I can read, and I do understand about the history. And we have enough trophies and windows and things around our offices to remind us of the rivalry of West Virginia. When it comes down to that trophy right there, I go back to, I want to say it was Coach Hawkins at Colorado's. It's not intramurals. I like playing for a trophy. I like that there's something to win and that everybody doesn't get one. There's not 2 trophies, right? There's just one. We're okay. We can handle that, right? So whoever wins gets the trophy, and I think that's really cool. That's old school, and that's what I enjoy.
For both coaches, Josh Schaefer from the Daily Orange in Syracuse. Was curious how the first year of the new redshirt rule worked for you guys, with players being able to play 4 games and then redshirting after, because I know both teams have a couple players that might be able to play in the bowl game now and still redshirt.
Yeah, I mean, the rule for us was kind of unique. Being the first time out probably would have helped us a lot more the year before if it had been implemented than it was this year. We haven't played everybody that we could have played. Some because other guys were, you know, the first and the second was doing more than a good job, and some because they didn't deserve to play. I think we've got one player in a situation where we will not play him. There's no sense in me saying his name because we'd like to save him for his redshirt year. But outside of that one player, I think it's really not going to affect this game much at all.
It's going to affect us. You know, we got 2 quarterbacks. You know, so one of them, if it wasn't for the redshirt rule, I'd be lining up with the walk-on quarterback here. So Trelo's he's gonna play. He's you know, we've been saving him. We've been blessed with good quarterback play all years, as you have as well, Dino. But ours isn't playing, so it's an opportunity to be able to you know, line these inexperienced guys up and see what they can do. I'm excited about what both of them are going to do. But with that said, you know, we've strategically held off on playing some of our guys, and I think I got 5 guys that have played in 3 games. So there's 5 that are going to play and be able to save their year, and then I probably got 5 more that have been getting better throughout the course of the year, and we'll be able to play those guys as well. So I love the rule. You know, we both sat in meetings and you know, talked about how this would be beneficial to college football and to some young men. Martell Pettaway would be he'd be a sophomore right now if this rule was in place a couple years ago, and he was a big reason why, you know, we had to play him game 11 a couple years ago, and that's a big reason why this rule's in place, and we're taking full advantage of it.
Same row.
Stephen Bailey from the Post-Standard in Syracuse. You guys have both touched on a little bit overlapping when you worked in Texas. I'm curious, as you guys kind of maybe have reflected on that, being near each other for a few days, any good stories from clinics or maybe overlapping on the recruiting trail that have kind of come back to you?
1 ball, 2 ball, 3 ball. Dino, he was in one of these air raid clinics back in 2000, 2001.
Right
he was at
around
Texas A&M, and we all sit in there, and it's a room much like this, you know, just a bunch of coaches back here talking, and you know, we've crossed paths a good bit, and has done a great job offensively for a lot of years, and you know, it's exciting to be able to be in the Northeast, both in the Northeast, to be able to bring a different kind of ball to the Northeast, and you know, you're seeing it everywhere now, but that goes way back to early 2000s when we were talking about this stuff, and he's done such a good job, and excited to be able to compete against him.
Yeah, same thing, same clinic. Like I said, it was either 2000, 2001, like Dana said, and the the thing I remember is I felt like, I was so nervous about going up and preparing, and I got all these, big-time football coaches, him being one of them. And you go and you do that presentation, and you have your best play, and you throw it out there, and you look out in the audience, and everybody's writing stuff down, and you feel good that you've contributed to this clinic. And then going back out there and watching everybody else's best play, and kind of feeling like you got cheated a little bit, like somebody left some of their best plays at home and kind of gave you some of the basic stuff. But that's the stuff that goes on at those clinics. The main thing is you get around guys that really have the same philosophy that you have, that maybe, there's no doubt that defense is important. There's no doubt that special teams is important. But, maybe offense is important as well. And I know some people believe that offensive coordinators are, overrated, but we like to think that we can do our jobs too.
We'll go over to this side of the room, start with Jordan.
Jordan Culver with the Orlando Sentinel. For both coaches, you both touched on earlier in the week, kind of putting aside the distractions of Orlando, the fun that both that your players can have. You've had practice opportunities now. Do you feel like the intensity is where it needs to be heading into this bowl game from your practices?
Can I take this one first?
You got it, bro.
We had intense practices during spring. We had intense practices during the fall. And we would like to, we thought we could have some intense practices for this bowl game. But, we were so physical the last game that we played against our rival, and a game that we won, we were excited about that. But we were really beat up to really have the type of physicality that I really wanted to have this first opportunity out. Now, we got to do some things, and we stayed on our feet, but we really did not tackle and take people to the ground as much as I would like. And, it's probably going to hurt us early, and hopefully it doesn't hurt us late, but it's going to take some time for them to get their game legs back in. They haven't played in a very, very long time. So it'll be interesting, not only on who starts fast, but who adjusts very quickly so they can get back into game mode.
We had a full-blown scrimmage yesterday in the hotel down in that. We've had 3 full padded practices, so I think we might have the upper hand here. No, I'm just joking, but because you're right. I mean, everybody makes such a big deal about, everybody wants to use you get 15 practices when you have a bowl game out. That's not even a rule anymore, and it's really overstated when it comes to that. So, the season's such a grind, and we finished up with a pretty hard-fought game against Oklahoma. We lost. Our guys were disappointed, so we gave them a couple weeks off. And then you're out recruiting for 3 weeks, and you have finals where you got to give them off the entire time. So you really don't have a whole lot of time to practice. And, we did the same thing that they did last week. We got together. We practiced for a couple of days, and then we came down here, and there's not a whole lot you can do. If you get them down to the bowl site and you grind them, then they're really not going to want to play. So you just got to kind of manage that, and I think both of us are very professional when it comes to that. And the guys will be excited to play. It's going to be a fun matchup. But you're right. I mean, they haven't played in a while, so it's going to be interesting to see which ones adjust quickly throughout the course of the game.
Nico Tamuri, WSTM Syracuse. Start with Coach Babers with a question for both of you. Obviously, the fun of the bowl is all the events that you and your guys have been able to do all week. What's the emotion or the mindset right now that all of that stuff's in the past, it's just now full steam out of that game? Is it kind of like a calm before the storm kind of feeling heading into this one now?
I'm not sure if I'm ever calm before a game. You do your work, and you feel like you're good in your preparation. And then you kind of look at the guys, you watch their manners, you watch them in meetings, you watch their eyes, you watch them in the walkthrough. And then you can feel really good about everything, and then you can go out there and they can just play like and then you can see them messing around, and you don't like what's going on and not say a word, and they come out there and they play like their hair's on fire. So I've been in a while. I really can't tell. There's certain things that I just will not allow. But outside of that, you just kind of watch, and every team is kind of different. And the interesting thing about the bowl season is that you have one team, but you have another team that's surfacing. Your underbelly, your 2019 team is surfacing because they realize in less than 3 days, maybe the guy that's in front of them is going to be gone. and they've been waiting their entire life to have an opportunity to be a starter or a contributor, at the ACC level. So it's kind of unique, it's kind of different, and I really can't tell. We're going to have to wait and see.
Just a couple rows back.
Stephen Fonte from WSYR in Syracuse. For both coaches, you're obviously down a few key guys, Dino on defense and Dana on offense. Dana, let's start with you. How does that impact how you prepare for this game, the fact you're going to have 3 offensive stars not on the field?
Well, that's another deal that me and Dino made when this when this game came about. We had a couple guys sit out, so he tried to even it out with a couple of defensive guys that aren't going to play. So, looks to me like it's a pretty evenly matched game. We're both, pretty much have the same record and got a couple offensive guys out. He's got a couple of defensive guys out. So, we'll line up and see what happens.
Yeah, they have a fantastic football team, and I don't think that people are really giving them their due. And you have to understand that, I understand that Dana's been doing this a long time. We're in the 3rd year of what we're trying to do. I want to say you're in your 8th. Mm-hmm. You're in your 8th. And, God, 5 more years of foundation and work and guys knowing exactly what you want and everybody on your team being the style that you fit. This is a good football team. I do think it's a good match if we can play, if we can come and play and be locked in mentally. I think it's a good match, and I think it should be exciting, but I'm not sure it's going to be the game that everybody thinks it's going to be. It could be one of those 10-7 overtime games that we saw last night, and that still would be exciting, especially if we came out on top.
Yep, over on the right side.
This is for Dino, Alex Hickey, the Dominion Post. How do you prepare for a team where you've got maybe 10 reps on film, the quarterback, and you don't know at all what the second guy looks like?
It was 11 reps. 11 reps on. You just have to. To me, this is more like a first game than a bowl game. The way our defense is breaking it down, you play a team coming out of camp, you really don't know what they're going to do, and I think it's an advantage for West Virginia. I really do. Defensive coordinators are weird, and they freak out about everything. So, I'm like, hey, you're going to have to adjust. There's times on offense when you come out and they're playing a new front you've never seen or a coverage they never had. You got to adjust to it. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. I think there's going to be a bunch of adjustments during the game, and hopefully, the staff that makes the most adjustments the quickest, and their players can handle adjustments. Some players are fantastic with preparation for an entire week, but they're not an adjustment player. You get them in the middle of the game, you ask them to make an adjustment, they can't make the change. So I think between those adjustments and the coaches and the players, it's going to be a fine contest.
Over on the right.
This is for Dino. A couple weeks ago, we talked about Abdul Adams and Tristan Jackson, and you said you wanted to see how they did in meetings, how they did in practice, to see kind of how ready they were. How ready are they?
I think they might have a chance. We'll see. We've got a lot of guys that have played a lot of football, and we're going to be loyal to the guys that were out there. Those guys are members of our team. If they get an opportunity to contribute a little bit, it'll be fun to see what they do. I'll throw this out to you. You got to remember, those guys haven't been hit. They've been hit, they've been tackled, but not for a very, very long time. And turnovers are going to play a key part of who's hosting that trophy in front of us. And you do want to put some new people in the game, but it's not a time to be experimenting. If you're trying to win, you're going to be playing the best guys and the guys that can help you win.
We're going over on the left side in the back. You already asked a question. There you go.
The question for Coach Babers again. Coach, you mentioned the foundational work, and you're in your 3rd year. And if you go back in Syracuse football history, the decline of the program kind of started here in the 2004 Champs Sports Bowl. So
You would have to bring that up.
Well, and so now you're back here to bring it full circle. How do you see the significance of not only being in this game, but possibly winning it for the program?
I look at it more. The contest is the contest. Whether we win or lose, we've accomplished a lot this year. We're playing up. This team's ranked a lot higher than us. We've accomplished a lot already. I think the biggest thing is the reinforcement that we have, the confidence that we have now from the student body, the alumni base, and the community, right? And along with the administration, to have that to have them standing behind us and having faith that we can get this thing done, I think that's the biggest accomplishment, and I think it's already happened. We're going to battle, we're going to play. The team that makes the least amount of mistakes is probably going to win the game, but I don't think that's going to have a true effect on what this season really means to Syracuse University.
One final call for questions.
This is for Coach Holgersen. Coach Holgersen, Mark Martin, WCHS TV, Fox 11 in Charleston. You've had the chance to coach a lot of great receivers throughout your career. David Seals, one last go-around with that guy. Could you just talk a little bit about him and what he's meant and where he kind of stacks up with some of the other great ones you've had the chance to tutor?
Yeah, he's really a team player. You know, I mean, he's going to have a bright future in the NFL. I mean, who knows where guys get picked? I mean, I can't figure that thing out. But he can't play for a while. He's just a really good football player. He's a great team guy. He's excited about being here. He's leading our team. You know, two-time All-American. You know, so hopefully he can catch a few touchdown passes. That's the one thing that he does a good job with. So. If we can move the ball, they got such a great defense at Syracuse. They're pretty good, but hopefully we can move the ball a little bit and get down there where we can score a few touchdowns. You got to score to win. I ain't buying this 10-7 stuff now. I mean, you guys are too good on offense, so we're gonna have to move the ball and I do think that both defenses will be ready to play and be excited about it. But we're gonna have to move the ball, and David's gonna have to finish a few drives for us to win.
As we close up shop, I want to ask both coaches to come down and take a quick photo op in front of our trophy and our helmets, and then we'll call it a day.